Okay, so one of the questions I get a lot, especially from people inquiring about training for their athletes, is what's the difference between training at your facility and the high school weight room where my son or daughter goes to school? So there's a big difference, and there's a couple different topics that I want to cover in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a 5-part video series, probably going to be a 5-part video series on the difference between Bernardo's training and the high school weight rooms, and what you could expect to get from each one. Now, this is not meant. I don't want this to become a war on the high school weight room. This is not meant to really bash the high school weight rooms or what they do there. Or the coaches. This is just meant to highlight the differences between what you're going to get for something for free versus when you pay for something. Basically, because when you come here, you're going to have to pay. When you're in a high school weight room, it's free. Well, I guess you pay with your tax money, but that's probably another topic for another day. So the first thing I'm going to cover, so this video is going to be, I want to keep them shorter, so I'm going to do a bunch of them, but this video is going to be on coaching. So the number one, probably biggest difference would be coaching. That's basically essentially what you're paying for. You're paying for our time to actually coach your kids. So in our professional expertise, basically, to coach your kids. So when you come here, you're getting professional strength and conditioning and speed training. So you're going to have coaches that are educated in this and that are experienced in this. I mean, I myself have probably trained over 1,000 kids at least. I usually say hundreds, but when I total up I started the business in 2006, so probably 12 years. If I 100 kids a year, it's probably 1,200 kids. So in just strength and conditioning and speed training. So, I don't coach X's and O's. I don't tell kids how to play football or baseball or swing a bat or anything like that. All we simply do is try to make them better athletes. So in the high school weight room, what's going to happen is you're going to go in and you're going to have either the coach monitoring the weight room, and they say you're a weight room monitor. You're not a coach. So they're not there to train your kids. They're there to monitor the weight room, basically, and make sure no one dies. So they will put a workout up on the board, and they'll expect the whole team to do the workout. So the coaching and programming, I kind of put it in the same boat here. So they're going to program out for your child the same for every kid on the whole team. So if you've ever seen a football team, between freshman and senior, there's huge differences between athleticism, experience level in terms of training, motivation. So to program the same way for the whole team is doing the kid a huge disservice, because they could get hurt, and it's also not going to allow them to progress in their athletic ability quickly, because they'll be doing things they're not ready to do. And what happens is when they're doing things they're not ready to do, they kind of flounder, and they just don't really get better. So when you come here, we're going to have everything mapped out for them, where to go. We're going to meet them where they're at. So if they're very good, let's say they've trained before, well, then we're not going to ask them to do basic fundamental stuff probably in the beginning, because they already know how to do it. So we're going to progress them quicker. If they've never trained before, we're going to make them master the fundamentals of training before we ask them to do something more difficult. So for example, I'm just going to use squatting for an example. So, because that's a foundational movement that everybody should be able to do, whether you're 8, 9, 10, 50, 60, 70, 15, doesn't really matter. But we're going to ask them to squat a kettlebell underneath their chin. They're going to hold it underneath their chin, and when they get to use an 88-pound kettlebell and they own that weight, we'll then move on to a barbell. When you go into a high school weight room, you're probably just going to put a bar on your back and do as much as you can. Their knees are going to be collapsing in, their back's going to be rounding forward. Sometimes they fall with the weight on their back and whatnot. So that's all stuff that you're not going to see happen here, because we're not going to ask them to do something that they're not ready to do. Then when they are ready to do it, we're going to coach them through it so that their squat looks great and they're getting a lot out of it, and they're getting stronger and becoming more explosive and becoming a better athlete, rather than just doing them half-assed and not really getting anything out of it. So that's going to be the biggest difference probably. So you're going to find professional coaching and programming versus just the kids winging through something. And usually when I ask them if they're getting trained or coached in there, usually say the guy's just kind of reading the paper on the side. So that's basically the coaching. He's there to make sure if someone gets hurt to get them to the hospital, not really to coach them. Now, I'm not saying that every weight room's like this, because some schools are going to have a strength coach there or someone who's supposed to be a strength coach. But a lot of times, even with that, it's very difficult to program for the whole team. So even if they do have a professional strength coach there, sometimes they don't have the actual progressions where the kids need. So like a kid who's never trained before, a freshman, versus a kid who's a senior going to Division I school, their needs are most likely are going to be very different. So I'll just leave you with that one. So the biggest difference, coaching and programming.